Welcome back, everybody. You are now listening to the Morning Grizz podcast, where we talk about sports in a raw and authentic way. Sports for the fan, from a fan. It's your boy Joseph, aka Jay with the Grits, and I'm back once again with my man Leon. What's going on, Leon?
What's good, man? How you feeling?
Oh man, I'm feeling great. Feeling great, man. It's been a good week, especially for basketball. It's been a lot going on with basketball. Got some good news. The Knicks are the number one defense in the NBA. So we're definitely going to touch on that a little later. And by the way that you're looking right now, it seems like you might have a lot to say about that. But
Right.
to start off the show, Leon, we definitely want to show some love to Hammering Hank Aaron. Hank
Yeah.
Aaron was a true icon in Major League Baseball. Me myself, Leon, baseball was my first sport. I grew up loving baseball, and one of the players besides Jackie Robinson was Hank Aaron, someone to look at, someone to model after. You also have players like Satchel Paige, Josh Gibson. These Negro players that weren't allowed to play in Major League Baseball, and to see a man like Hank Aaron who broke, and not just broke the home run record, but he shattered the home run record from Babe Ruth, having 755 home runs of all time. Most people still say that he is the renowned and the real home run leader. And Hank Aaron, I mean, he's just a remarkable person, Leon. You never heard anything bad about the man. He was great with civil rights movements. He broke a lot of barriers. It's a white sport, baseball, especially growing up. There wasn't a lot of black kids that were playing baseball. I remember myself, Leon, not having anybody to play baseball with. So I would
Right.
have to go in the backyard, throw a ball, so I can, field ground balls and throw it right back at the fence, so I can field ground balls over and over and over again.
Right.
But it's just especially in the society that we're in now, culturally, Leon, we definitely wanted to touch on this because Hank Aaron was a really big part of sports, and he broke a lot of barriers.
hmm Yeah, absolutely. He players like that who are able to play their craft through adversity, especially like that back end, because that's a American white sport, predominantly especially at the time, and to be a trailblazer and to inspire other young Black African athletes that come after him. I think he did a phenomenal job. I tip my hat because that tip my hat to him because it's just not an easy thing to do when everybody's against you, and then still be able to perform and then be the best at the sport.
Right.
I guess right now Barry Bonds do have the title, but a lot, like you said, a lot of people do feel that Hank Aaron still have it. So, man, just praying for his family. And I heard he just got the probably about a month ago just got the vaccination shot and things like that. So I know they were expecting something different outcome, but praying for his family, condolences to his family, and his legacy will definitely live on.
Right. Right. And definitely rest in peace, to Hank Aaron. He lived
Mhm.
to 86 years old, so he lived a pretty
Long
satisfying
life,
life.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
and they say that, people die, but legends, they live forever.
That's it. I definitely agree with that.
And,
So yeah, so he's in our hearts, man. He's forever in our hearts, brother.
definitely. And, Leon, here at the Morning Grits, it's always a show within a show. And we're going to
Right.
start it off like this, Leon. Look, my man Shaq came on TV the other day,
hmm
and he didn't even know, while he's talking on First Take, he did not even know that the Big Three in Brooklyn had already played one game together. I have no idea what island Shaq is on. He's got enough money to buy his own island if he wanted to. But Shaq,
Uh-huh.
you need to come back down to earth. Because now I hear about you talking all this talk to Donovan Mitchell right after he just won his game. Leon, what's going on with Shaq making these comments to Donovan Mitchell?
I don't know. Let me read this because this is interesting. So basically, after the Jazz game they won, so he goes and tells uh, Mitchell criticism. So basically, he was saying how he doesn't feel that that Donovan Mitchell can take the Jazz to the next level. Now, I guess some people
Mm,
saw it as a challenge, but some people saw it as him hating. For one, I disagree with Shaq. You know, for one, I've Spider's one of those players that have progressed over the years. Every year, he's added to his game. He's gotten better. You know,
right.
he's becoming even when I think it was his second or third year, he was just playing, I mean, phenomenal in the playoffs. I was like, oh my God, this dude is on the rise.
Right.
To where he is now, you've seen a incline of progress. So to say that to a young player that really has made his mark in this league, and not only that, you're telling him that he has hit his ceiling. Like you said, last year in the bubble, he averaged over 30 something points a game. The guy is just consistently, he's humble,
Mm-hmm.
he's out of trouble, and then you go after him and say something like that, and his response was real, like he was like, okay, I mean, he was like, we'll see. That's all. But we got to learn how to build players up. I mean, I understand that
Right.
Shaq is a legend, and you have LeBron. He said, I want to make sure I quote him right. He said, "There's a difference between constructive criticism and soft hating, though. I've seen it
Mm,
both ways. My way, mostly the hate, you can hear it in their delivery. So it kind of just probably it seemed like LeBron is tipping towards Shaq, which LeBron does have a point. Um, Listening to how Shaq said it, I don't think that because Shaq did lead it with saying, "You're one of my favorite players. I love to watch." He was like, "I love to watch you. You're one of my favorite players in the NBA, but I just don't feel um, that you're good enough or can go to another level to get the Jazz to a championship." So some
mm,
people see it as a challenge, challenging him, and then some people took it as offense because a lot of people drug him. Kevin Durant quote said, "Them old heads need to go and enjoy retirement. These boys have coaches they work with every day. Laugh out loud." So obviously Kevin Durant took it, but Kevin Durant is a very sensitive guy in the media. Like he's very
right.
sensitive. He always sounds off. He wasn't like that when he was with OKC. He was more of a humble guy. But I guess having people talk about him for going to Golden State after Golden State whooped on him, and you know um,
Right.
he understood the media, and so now he's not a media friendly person. So I don't know. But in my opinion, I think Shaq went in too hard on this young kid because right now he's playing unbelievable basketball. And he's leading his team. He is their star. He's lead right now. They're
Right.
11-4, which I think they're tied with the Lakers, tied with the Clippers for first place, all in the Western Conference Finals. So he's doing an immaculate job. Period. So I don't know where Shaq got that from. I can only hope in my heart that Shaq was challenging him to be better. You know, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, you throw stuff out there like that to get that player, it'll stick in the back of their head. Because like when we grew up, oh, you can't shoot. So in the
Right.
back of our head, that's always in the back of our head. So
Right.
we'll go outside and keep shooting jumpers. But that's the motivation that gets us to be a great shooter. So hoping that's what Shaq was trying to do. You know.
Yeah, and I think so. Shaq is one of those people who can be very jovial.
Hmm.
But Shaq also means business. And
Yeah, he
Shaq,
does.
I've never heard Shaq not want to encourage a young player.
Right.
And one person who Shaq has always been on top of and who's always demanded more from their game is Joel Embiid. Shaq has
Yeah.
always been the first one to criticize Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid's a big man. Joel Embiid at one point, Leon, he's been lazy. He hadn't been
Yeah.
in the gym. He hadn't been refining his game. Because a lot of his
Yeah.
game is natural skill. He has a natural
Mhm.
talent to play the center. But as a true big man, what Shaq currently is, and Shaq reigns supreme over all big men of all time. Maybe next to Wilt, you can debate who's going to be better. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, Shaq Diesel has always been a major force in the center. And Joel Embiid has now brought his game to a new level. Maybe you could thank Shaq for putting that into Joel Embiid's head about how
Mhm.
soft he is, about how he is not the player that he should be. What do
Mhm.
you think about Joel Embiid's progress now? He's an MVP candidate, Leon. He's got the 76ers balling. They got the best record in the East. Joel Embiid is a force and has the 76ers looking like potential NBA Finals contenders.
Yeah, I don't think it in this situation, have you ever been in a situation where maybe your mom or your brothers or sisters was telling you something and you would hear them, but you wouldn't really listen to them. But when somebody else came along and said the exact same thing, it kind of clicked. That's what I
Right,
think happened with Joe Embiid. I think it took Doc Rivers, over there to have a conversation with Joel Embiid. Like, look, we need you. You're the leader of this team. It's not Ben Simmons. It's you. We're going to go as far as you take us. You know, I need you to be the best player. So I think it's really because I think he kind of tuned out Shaq because Shaq can be a little aggressive at times, and even though he is a star, you know, and he's respected and being probably the most powerful center that the game has ever seen, and he got a four championship pedigree, so he's able to speak on these things, but like LeBron said, sometimes you know younger players they don't understand it or they haven't had that type of criticism and don't know how to handle it, and so they'll tune you out. They'll just completely not listen to you. But I think that he's playing. I think Doc Rivers in that system he has him playing at an all-time high. I always respected Joel Embiid game. He has every facet of the game on offense. He can shoot the three. He can shoot the mid-range. He can play with his back to the
oh yeah,
basket, and he's a force. Like he's going to be a problem for anybody in the East if he continues to play like this at this MVP level. Teams are going to have issues guarding him because he's really the biggest person in the league at his position, and he's the most agile
yeah.
at his position. So
He's the most agile.
yeah, so I
Hmm.
think the 76ers are going to be in the mix of things in the Eastern Conference Final because I don't think that they have anything for Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I knew Joel Embiid was real when he cried after Kawhi Leonard had hit that shot over him,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
brought the Toronto Raptors to the NBA Finals and ultimately allowing them to win a championship. Joel Embiid has worked on his game a lot, and I think
Yeah.
Doc Rivers it was influential, just like you mentioned. And I think that the staff, the GM, Elton Brand, I think they did a really great job by surrounding Joel Embiid and with pieces. Dwight Howard knows how to win a
Mhm.
championship now by being on the Lakers with LeBron
Mhm.
James. Also, you have Danny Green, who has won 3 championships with 3 different teams. Danny Green
Mhm.
is also playing out of his mind this year. He's having maybe a resurgent season. He's very, very quiet in those numbers,
Mhm.
but Danny Green has had some impactful games.
Mhm.
When you surround a player like Joel Embiid, who can be a little fragile in his emotions and maybe not know which direction to go when it comes to playing on the court, also being injured a lot, and so not having that experience of being on the court, having those pieces, don't you think that's like, it's really impacted his game this year also?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think the front office, Elton Brand, they've done a phenomenal job in, uh, for one, securing Doc Rivers. And I remember us talking some episodes
Yeah.
back when Doc Rivers got fired from the Clippers that should be the number one priority on the 76ers list, and that was the case. They signed him right away, and then they immediately start surrounding, getting great players. Danny Green, Seth Curry. They start bringing in a lot of different players. Dwight Howard to help, and so they're looking like a complete team. And so, yeah, I mean, they did a phenomenal job in surrounding him. So, look for the Sixers to only get better at this point.
Yeah, look at them to get better. And like you said, Leon, they look like a complete team. And a team that looks incomplete is the Brooklyn Nets. Yeah, the Brooklyn Nets have a big three, but where's their bench? Leon, they don't even have a defensive force on their team. I don't even know what they're going to do when their bench is coming into the game. D'Antoni, we know his teams have never had a defense. And I say D'Antoni because Steve Nash is a rookie coach. And you
Yeah.
said it on the last podcast, Leon, about D'Antoni really having the influence. So more than likely it's D'Antoni who's really coaching this team, with
Mm-hmm.
Steve Nash as being the figurehead. Can the Brooklyn Nets get this together? What type of pieces do they need? Because look, you have Colin Sexton, who just put up 40 points, 42 points, excuse me, for the Cleveland Cavaliers a couple of nights ago
Mm-hmm.
against Kyrie, against James Harden, against Kevin Durant, that big super three. Look, and then they come back again. He has almost 30 points, Colin Sexton, when they beat Brooklyn tonight. Leon, Brooklyn Nets seem to have a problem already with guard penetration, being able to stop the shifty small guard. Kyrie Irving had another monster game today, but Kyrie Irving had two monster games, and they have two losses since the big three have been together. Mind you, excuse me, Kevin Durant didn't play today, so it was just Kyrie and James Harden. What do you think that is this a time not to panic, but what's there to worry about the Brooklyn Nets? Because you said the 76ers might be that team to take over the East this year.
Absolutely. No, no, absolutely. It's a lot of issues. It's a lot, especially on the defensive end, because we both know that they're probably the most talented team that we've seen in the history of the NBA. With those three players, you have never seen any type of talent. That's just crazy, stupid talent. We get it, but
But
rather have a complete team than a talented team. And by
yes,
that, a complete team meaning that you have role players that know their roles. You have a deep bench that can come in and give you great minutes and hold off opponents until your stars rest up, and things like that. So there's a few issues. One of the main things that I see is the defensive end. Usually, when the team is a good defensive team, they have a person that mans the defense that everybody get this crazy energy from. If you want to look at the Lakers, AD is that guy. Alex Caruso, those type of players
right.
that bring that type of energy. You don't see that with the Nets. You have a bunch of offensive players that can get buckets, and like I told you, they can average 90 points easily between all three of them. And Colin Sexton, he was just running circles. It was a free flow worship type of layup line. I was like, it was like it was a layup line, and I was like shocked. I'm like, is anybody gonna play defense? He's running around Harden. He's running around Kyrie. There was nobody to stop him, and so I think that's going to be their issue going forward. Will they be able to bring in pieces? I'm not sure because you have three players that take up your whole salary cap. You're going to
The
have to
whole
find
cap.
people to
Yep.
sign for veteran minimums which they're not out there right now. You're going to have to trade away probably Dinwiddie, which will be silly because he's just a great addition. But you're looking at, they're a half completed team. And so, they got a lot of issues, especially when you got Kyrie Irving who's shooting 28 shots in a game. Now,
Yeah.
Kyrie
Yeah.
Irving, best header in the NBA. He's a superstar. We all know that. But on this team, Kyrie Irving, like I said before, is third best. Period. He's not the best player on the team. He's not the second best player on the team. It's KD's team. It's Harden, and then it's Kyrie Irving. Period. And it's just how it is. You have two offensive players that are better than you offensively, and so I think that's another issue. Where Kyrie Irving feels the need to shoot 28 shots. Now, will he do that every game? Probably not. But
So do you think that since Kyrie is here and Kyrie's taking a lot of shots, when you had when you had Durant and Harden playing with each other, they played pretty well. It was a
mm,
couple of close games. It came down to the wire for a couple of close games. Durant had to hit some key shots, to ice the games, both of those games. So I don't want to get it twisted to make it seem like Kyrie's just, putting the team in a bad position. They won 2 games with James Harden and Kevin Durant, but those games were close, very very
right,
close.
right.
Since they need pieces, is it better off for Brooklyn to maybe move Kyrie and get other pieces that could surround Harden and Durant, or is it in their best interest just to keep the three that they have now?
Um, that excuse me, and that's a great question. The answer is we don't know because in a sense, you have a team that could possibly be one of the greatest teams ever assembled. So you
Right,
have these three. I mean, top five talent. You have three players on your team that could potentially be in the top five, all on one
right,
team. Harden is a top five.
right.
Kyrie could arguably be a top five, and KD we know is one or two. I would still say he's behind
Hmm.
LeBron, sitting in that second spot. Um, you know, we've never seen this type of talent before. So they have something. They have an opportunity to be great, and I'm not knocking them,
Hmm.
but I would love to see them progress over the years because it's going to take some time. Just like when LeBron went to Miami, Bosh
Right.
went. It took them a year or two to get their self acclimated to get to a point where they were able to win championships. So I don't know if that's the answer, but I don't know how they're going to fit a lot of players with that type of salary. I mean, they up there. You talk about uh Harden is due 40 million this year. Kyrie
Yeah,
30.
but even besides that though, Leon,
Yeah.
yeah, they're making a lot of money. Kyrie's making about $33 million this year, and like you
Mm-hmm.
said, Harden's making about 40 million. But
Yep.
besides that, when you put a powerhouse team like this, just like you mentioned, Bosh and Dwayne Wade and LeBron when they were all three in Miami. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but the times have kind of changed since then. When you're putting together a big three like this, it's win now. Like you can't
Yeah.
wait 1 year and be like, okay, we just need time to gel with each other. Like, no, you got to get it done now. And
Yeah.
I don't really see
You're right.
that it's going to happen because one, their defense. Kyrie talked about after the first game that they all three played together. Talked about they have to be on a cohesive page. That they're going to develop cohesion over time, which is going to take a lot of compromise. But in these first 2 games that Kyrie came back, it doesn't seem like. And I love Kyrie, bro. Like I'm all
Mm-hmm.
about Ki all day, bro. I think Kyrie's like the best point guard in the league. Just because of what he does to the game. Especially
Right.
when he plays the passing lanes the way that he does. We even had that debate about Kyrie along with Allen Iverson. So um, but just to go to show how much I value Kyrie as a player. But
Mm-hmm.
when it comes down to it, and these first 2 games, it didn't seem like Kyrie was the one that was going to take the back seat or willing to compromise, especially after
Mm-hmm.
he made those comments.
Yeah. It doesn't. And that can be an issue. That can be an issue going forward. Um, because I think that the leader on the team have to be established. Who that leader is. We all know who that leader is, but do they? Do Kyrie?
Hmm.
And that's up to Nash, and then unfortunately you have a rookie coach, who this
Hmm.
is first year coaching. You're coaching three superstars, like three, not one. It's hard dealing with one superstar ego. You already seen James Harden over in Houston. That's a superstar ego. Now you have James Harden, Diva Irving, and KD, all superstars, all superstar egos. with a rookie coach,
Yeah.
and then assistant coach that only know offense, bro. I mean, to me, I don't think that they have the right pieces in place. I just don't think so. And and Stephen Nash has have to do a good job in letting people know the pecking order, if you will. There's a pecking order. And until that established, I don't think that they're going to be great. Because I love Harden games. Don't get me wrong, I love Harden. One of my favorite players in today's game because he has different facets to his game. Like he can lead and assist, he can rebound, and he can score. The only weakness James Harden have is defensively. That's the only weakness he has.
Yeah.
And so at 31, I don't see him getting better on defense. KD 31, I don't see KD getting better on defense. Can he have games where he's good on defense? Yeah, but not to lead and come out defense, and lead a team in 48 minutes in defense and be that energy guy on defense. I just don't see him because he exerts so much energy on the offensive end. He that's where he puts his effort. So Kyrie, even though he in the top tier of steals every year, for one, we don't know if Kyrie gonna stay healthy. I would love to see him healthy because I love his game. But every year, Kyrie goes down, you know. So there's a lot of questions. There's just a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I even think the Celtics would be better than them, you know, because they play more as a team, and they got a little big three over there now too. They're not as good as them, but they've been playing together a lot longer. They're
Right.
more cohesive than the Brooklyn Nets, and so is the Sixers. And don't forget about Miami. Nobody is talking about Miami. I'm
Yeah,
telling
that's
you
the
right
sleeper.
now, they're going to be the sleeper this year because they're a gritty defensive team that never gives up and they're just gritty. So Brooklyn, it's not going to be easy for them.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be easy for Brooklyn. And like you said, nobody's talking about Miami. And Miami's known for having a really solid front defense. Their
Yeah.
defensive line at the guard position, also on the wings. And down
Mm,
low. Even though they're
mm.
small, they're still able to contain. And maybe the Brooklyn Nets need to go a couple boroughs away and go see what's up with the Knicks and get some of their players because the Knicks right now, Leon, have the number one defense in the NBA. Leon, the Knicks are holding opponents to only shooting 43% per game. From the three-point line, opponents are only shooting 30.7% a game. And Leon, one more stat. The Knicks, and we don't never talk about the Knicks up in here.
No,
The
we don't.
Knicks are only allowing teams to average 101.8 points per game, right under 102 points per game, Leon. The Knicks have the best defense. What do you think about that, Leon? They're 8-8.
Bro, this is my issue with that. This is my issue. The Knicks are 8-8. And this is why I don't like analytics. And this is where we get into analytics. The Knicks are a 500 team, 8-8. How in the world are they the number one defensive team in the league? It does not make sense. You have better teams that are playing better defensively, but because of analytics and those little stats, the Knicks is the number one defensive that you could. That's the biggest flaw. I mean, I'm not taking nothing away from them, but that doesn't make any sense that they're holding opponents to 101 points a game and they're averaging 101.8, but they're still 8-8.
Yeah,
That just
but
that
but
doesn't make
Leon,
sense.
Leon, it's not it doesn't make sense, but it's not like the analytics are making it up. Like the opponents are shooting 43% a game. But see, look, this is why they're 8-8. Not only do they only give up 101.8 points a game, they average 101.8 per game. So they don't let people score, and then They can't
They
score.
not scoring.
And you already know in today's NBA,
But they're 8-8,
you got to
bro.
score points out here.
But look, they're 8-8. They're 8-8. So how are they the number one defense and they've lost half their games? That right there doesn't. Come on, man. That does not make sense. Like you have the Lakers that are what 12-4.
Yeah.
Clippers are 12-4. The Jazz are 11-4, and they play great teams, and they beat those teams by defense. I know the Lakers are probably the number one defensive team in reality, and not
Right.
on stats. Like I'll even say the Clippers are a better defensive team. I even say Milwaukee is a better defensive team than the New York Knicks. Is that a joke? And they haven't won half their games? That doesn't make sense. So 8 games, they're the best defensive team, and the other 8, they're not. That don't make sense. But I digress. I just disagree with that because that's hilarious, bro. The fact that they got the Knicks, NBA.com. Man, something wrong because NBA.com. That is just, I can't believe that they're posting that stat. That just doesn't make sense to me, man. But I digress. I digress. That's crazy.
Sometimes, y'all, sports just don't make sense. But we
No.
try to make sense out of everything here at the Morning Grits podcast. So I just want to thank everybody for tuning in to this new episode that we have here. Thank you, Leon. I definitely love that passion, man. You know, I love it every
Yeah.
time you bring that passion, man. It's always great. And yeah, make sure everybody subscribes to the Morning Grits podcast. You know, we're on YouTube. You can also find us on Google, Apple Podcasts. You can find us wherever there's a podcast being streamed. We are there. So please also subscribe, and let me know. Are you with the Grits